vehicle. She was stopped by what she believed at that time to be a police officer. The vehicle was unmarked but did have a light bar on the top, according to her. She she had an expired registration, so she was trying to avoid being stopped and had pulled onto a darker street than the main road that she had originally started on in the hopes of not being stopped at all. So once stopped, the officer walked up to the car. She opened her window like any normal person would. He asked for her license and registration. She produced a driver's license for him. He went back to his vehicle for a period of time. And when he came back to her, he asked her to step from the vehicle, at which point then he assaulted her. The victim was able to get away shortly after that and was able to drive to an area where she talked to an aunt. She then drove to a location in Cobb County where she dialed 911. Cobb County Police responded to that, and then shortly after that, Atlanta Police was made aware that the incident had occurred in our jurisdiction. I can take any questions you have related to the incident.
What are some of the challenges you're running into? I mean, what makes this case particularly challenging for you?
Well, obviously, the biggest concern we have in this case is that it's purported that the person was a law enforcement officer, while the uniform description, which was dark-colored clothing, it wasn't a particular uniform, and it was a star badge, which obviously we don't utilize. The vehicle was reported as being unmarked with a light bar on top. That's not a vehicle that we have in our fleet. Any of the vehicles that we have with light bars on top of them are marked and clearly say Atlanta Police on the side of them. Our unmarked vehicles don't have light bars on the top. The biggest concern we have right now is that this person, looked enough like a police officer. In two cases we believe are similar enough to think that it's potentially the same suspect between us and Cobb, that two people have stopped for him. And so our greatest concern is in that area, and that we want to make sure that the motoring public knows how to keep themselves safe if they're uncertain if the person who pulls them over is a police officer.
Sir, how do we know that these the people that he's pulling over, how does he know that they are women alone in the cars? Do we think maybe he's following them, or is it just by chance that they are alone in the cars?
So we don't have enough information to make a determination on that. So we don't, we won't know that until we have the suspect in custody, probably.
Any video from the area that's helped you at all?
We're looking at every bit of video that we can from every store that's in that area. So we're checking everything that we can at the moment. We haven't come up with anything to this point, but we're still out there trying to pull video out of businesses and other areas right now.
Do you know the color of the vehicle?
I know that it was described as dark in color, probably black, but I don't want to be firm on a color. So let's just go with dark in color. It was very consistent with that.
No, sir. I mean, are you guys, look, I mean, obviously you're out looking. I mean, do you guys have extra patrol? I know it's a big city. I mean, extra patrols in the area looking for a dark sedan with a light bar? I mean, you think you'd stick out a little bit if you was driving.
Right. So we're obviously looking for any vehicle that's unmarked with a light bar on top. That would get stopped, I think, by any law enforcement agency at this point in all of Metro Atlanta, not just Cobb or the city of Atlanta. So everybody's pretty much looking for that. That's been put out pretty wide. So we're all looking for a car like that, and if we come across one, we'll stop one.
And both of the victims were assaulted?
Both of the victims were assaulted, yes.
Did he have a conversation with these women outside of, can I see your license? Is there consistency in their stories, the two women?
I'm comfortable telling you that he asked for their license and registration. Any conversation outside of that's part of an ongoing investigation.
And you said he asked. We're assuming this is one person. There's not any belief that it's two separate.
Well, we're not assuming that. We have a description of a person that's similar in our cases and in Cobb's. But we won't know that it's the same person absent some sort of physical evidence that indicates that, or if we get a suspect in custody and we're able to determine for sure that that's the case.
There's a lot of sexual assault victims. Sometimes there's that hesitancy to come forward. Also, you have, for some people, the intimidation factor of coming across a police officer. Do we have anything telling us that there might be other victims out there?
I don't know what I don't know. So, I mean, it's possible that there are other victims out there, and if there are, we would like them to come forward, obviously. So if anyone's had an incident like this occur, we're pretty certain that we're not 100% certain that it's not a police officer, but we're fairly certain that it's not one. So please come forward, and we'll take your information at that time.
And are both cases around the same time in the middle of the night?
Both cases occur within a few hours of each other on the same date, yes.
We've had some folks ask us, the case that Atlanta Police is handling specifically was 1 a.m. on Friday. We didn't find out about it, public didn't from APD until early evening on Saturday. Any reason for that delay?
Yes.
When was it reported?
So there was a reason for the delay. We had what we believed at the time initially to be an extremely viable lead. So we ran that lead to the ground before we released any information to the public. that lead hasn't turned out in the way that we had hoped that it would, and so we released information to the public shortly thereafter.
So are we trying to get a sketch out of this?
Yes, we have, the victim was able to, and the sketch artist were able to make an appointment for Wednesday morning. So we'll do a sketch, and as soon as we have that sketch, we'll release it to you.
Till Wednesday?
It was Wednesday was the earliest time she was available,
The artist
Victim.
or the victim?
the victim.
And sir, what's this, individual, was he armed? Did he have, was he wearing a belt with?
The information we have wasn't specific enough that I can say for sure one way or the other.
And at any point, did he try pulling out either of the victims out of their car or try to physically?
I'm not going to speak to the details of the Cobb case. He asked our victim to open her car door like he was going to have her get out of the car, but she never got out of the car.
Advice to people who, or women who may be driving alone in the middle of the night and see flashing lights.
So I'm going to reiterate the advice that we put out on Saturday. I think Cobb has since put out as well. So if you are traveling in a vehicle, especially if you are a female and you are alone, if you are uncertain that the person behind you is a police officer, turn on your hazard lights, stop in a well-lit area, dial 911, and we will be happy to confirm that there is an actual traffic stop ongoing, because as you know, we have constant radio communication with all of our officers in the field. So we can clarify that information for you. They'll tell you over the phone that yes, you are being stopped by an actual police officer. But it is imperative that if you're going to follow these steps so that we don't think that you're running from us or fleeing from us, that you slow down substantially and stop in a lighted area once you have confirmation.
And Major, are you all checking with other neighboring jurisdictions to see if they have similar cases possibly?
I would think at this point there's been enough media attention to this that we would have heard of any other similar cases if anyone knew that was in Metro Atlanta. So we're pretty confident that we know about the two that law enforcement has been made aware of. As you stated earlier, there may be a victim we're not aware of, and we would hope that person comes forward. But as of right now, we just have the two cases.
Obviously, no one in custody right now, but since this has been put out publicly, are more tips coming in from the public?
We haven't received any tips that I'm aware of, and so obviously we would look for any of those. Feel free to call Crime Stoppers if you have a tip. And then we don't have a suspect in custody, or I'd be releasing that information now.
Are you concerned that the behavior will escalate? You know, that it started with that photo and then the assault, but are we concerned that this will escalate?
Well, we're concerned that we could have another incident, although we've made it through the weekend so far without one. But, I mean, the fact that we had two back-to-back was a pretty big concern, yes.
How far in miles between the first incident and the second incident?
I have no earthly idea. I know that the other incident occurred somewhere in Cobb County, but I'm not familiar enough with Cobb County to tell you how far away it was.
Can you talk about how upsetting it is personally that someone goes to such great lengths to impersonate a police officer?
Well, the problem is that there's a level of trust in a traffic stop. The motoring public believes that when those lights turn on behind them, that is a police officer that is behind them. And so it creates a real issue for us when we have incidents like this. So it's imperative to us, and it's extremely important both to the Atlanta Police Department and the Cobb County Police Department that we get this person in custody as quickly as possible so that we can reassure the motoring public that this person's not out there and that this isn't going to continue to happen. And until we're able to say that we've done that, then we have some cause for concern.
And continuing along that, I mean, you know, now that this is, you know, really being publicized, you know, you're giving people advice or tips, so should you get stopped, but are you concerned that this is going to sort of lead to folks just not stopping and sort of leading to a separate type of incident there?
Here's what I would say to that. I think your average law-abiding person is going to do the right thing 99% of the time, right? So, I mean, if they're the law-abiding person who intended to stop in the first place, they're going to find a way to do that. Now, it might be different for us in that they don't immediately pull over like they always would, but they're going to find a way to stop. I mean, the average person not going to all of a sudden become Johnny Criminal and go running down the freeway. I don't think we're overly concerned about that, no.
Do you know if these lights were permanently installed or could be possibly substitute thing?
We don't know. I mean, so the fact that it was described as a light bar was a little unusual because you would think that it would be more like a dash light that would be easily concealed.
And Major, just because right now we don't know how he's either finding, it just so happens that both victims that he stopped were by themselves. Are you advising women who could be alone, maybe they had gone to the grocery store, to be aware of their surroundings when leaving late at night, because we don't know how he's picking them?
Yeah, I mean, you're reiterating what I said, I hope, is that, yes, we are concerned about that, and if you are by yourself and female, take the appropriate precautions and make sure you're paying attention to your environment. If you see something suspicious, call us. If you're being stopped by a police officer, confirm that it is an actual traffic stop. I mean, do all of the things to make sure that you're safe if you're by yourself. That's what we would recommend.
Neither of these victims got a tag number or more of a description of the vehicle than what's already been.
The description that I'm providing to you is as detailed as I can provide it to you and still be accurate. And if I had an actual tag number, we would definitely be releasing it.
But you don't know if it's like a Ford or a Crown Vic?
They
or
were
Charger?
consistent that the cars were similar, but each person has described the car as a different make and model. So I don't want to put one out and then all of a sudden we're trying to look for only that car. That wouldn't help us at all. So a dark colored 4-door sedan with a light bar on top.
So, Major, in both cases, he was able to get their driver's license. They handed their driver's license to him. He walked away from their car to his car and then came back, and that's when the assault happened. Is that correct?
Here's, in our case, let's go with that. In our case, he asked for a driver's license. The driver's license was handed to him. He went back to his car and then he came back. The particulars on the Cobb County case I'm not willing to speak to.
The best description of this man that you have again, just so we have it one more time, please.
He's a white male, 6 feet tall, dark hair that's black in color, had like 5 o'clock shadow type beard situation, was described as maybe being 180 to 190 pounds. And then he was described as wearing like black or dark colored pants, a brown or dark colored shirt, and a jacket that had a badge on it that was in the shape of a star.
All right, guys, everybody good?
Yeah, just one last thing. I mean, the fact that the victim can't meet with the sketch artist until Wednesday, is there anything you can do to lean on her to maybe move up that timetable? I mean, clearly that sketch, I mean, how critical is that sketch to get out there? I'm assuming you'd like it out there sooner than Wednesday.
I can emphatically state that as a general rule, we try not to lean on victims of sexual assault. So if she's comfortable with Wednesday, while we would like it to be sooner, Wednesday it will be.
Is it both victims or just your victim?
Our victim is all I'm speaking to.
Was your victim driver's license ever returned, or did he take it, or?
He hands her driver's license back to her before he tells her to exit the car.
Is there any fear of retaliation there with him seeing her address and where she potentially lives? And
I don't think that's our focus point. I don't think we're overly worried about that at this time. Obviously, we want her to be paying attention, but I think she's doing that. So,
Major, can you go into just what exactly happened after he handed the driver's license to
No.
her?
Guys, we're done. Thank you. Appreciate it. He's answered a lot of questions. Thank you.
Is Cobb County going to speak to your incident?
We have, yes.
Yes, please.
It's probably a good bit of the same information, but. Good afternoon. I'm Captain Dan Farrell. It's Dan and then Farrell, F-E-R-R-E-L-L. I'm with our Special Investigations Division in Cobb County Police Department. So, we are working a similar case to the Atlanta PD case. It occurred a little later in the morning, approximately 4:45 in the morning, the same day to Friday night. Our cases were similar in nature, so we have created a cooperative effort between the two agencies to compare information that we have and to work kind of together on this to see. At this point in time, we can't say for certain that it is going to be the same suspect in this, but there are some similarities in that stuff that lead us in that direction.
What are the similarities?
Just the type of vehicle, the description of the light bar, the suspect description itself matches the same between the two victims in the incident. So we believe that that's enough to take us towards that transaction. Plus, it's within a few hours of each other happening. So.
How is your victim doing, and is she going to work with the sketch artist as well?
Yes, we are working with that. We're trying to arrange a meeting with the sketch artist and our victim at this time, and we have not got a date and time set for that, but as soon as is practically possible for the victim and the sketch artist to get together.
How critical is, important is that the two departments are working together and pooling resources? I mean, how important is that?
Oh, I think it's very critical to come through there, because sometimes the smallest piece of information that one agency may have is going to be a critical piece of information to the other agency to actually break the case open. So working back and forth with our investigation units on this, we believe we have the best opportunity to come through and actually bring this case to a resolution.
I know APD mentioned initially they had a viable lead. They ran that down. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out Have there been any viable leads on Cobb County's end as well?
Not at this point. We're still gathering evidence. There's a lot of things together. We'll be back interviewing the victim again on the case and see what else that they remember. Also working with Atlanta may actually turn a few things on our case as well. And so that does take time to go through that process. But no, not at this time. We do not have a suspect.
Where your case happened, I know that intersection, Terrell and Paper Mill, it's a little bit of a busy intersection. There's a park there as well. Is there any cameras in the area, anything captured?
We're actually combing that area right now to find a camera that might pick up some of the incident out there, or sometimes in an area camera, so it may not necessarily be where the traffic stop took place, but you may find something from some nearby businesses where the car may have traveled through.
And Captain, do we know, in your incident, did the victim also hand her driver's license to this individual?
I can tell you that she was asked for a driver's license, and that's about as far as I can go on our case.
If you had a message to whomever is doing this, what would it be?
Yeah, well, actually, if I had a message, I think you need to come down and visit with us, and come down and visit Cobb County Police Department. We've got some questions for you and some things. So, but yeah, as far as that goes, I really can't state strong enough how seriously law enforcement takes this case, and you have to understand that this really does strike at the core of every police officer across the country when we have an incident like this taking place, because the men and women who actually put the badge on every day and do their job professionally and with integrity and with honor, it tarnishes that reputation. It puts unnecessary fear and apprehension in the community. So I can assure you that from Cobb County Police Department side and Atlanta Police Department, we are not holding back any resources trying to get to the bottom of this.
And your victim described as another dark car as well? But
Correct.
then the model was possibly different.
Yes, sir. And at that time of the night, with the darkness outside, we don't expect an exact description of a vehicle. We're just looking for the similarities with it.
So did the man ask your victim to get out of the car as well?
I will not be able to go into that part of that. I'm sorry.
Was your incident, is it on that stretch of Terrell right before you get to Paper Mill? I know there's really not any street lights there. It can be a dark stretch. It's a busy road, but not much overhead light there. Is it sort of south of Paper Mill there where it is dark a little bit?
Yes, sir. It was right near the intersection of Paper Mill. It is lit, but that's an extremely wide road, and so the lighting is not it's not like daylight. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.